Okay, so today we're going to do perception and attention. This is lesson number 2. Sorry, I keep looking down there. Before we start, I'd like to say please get a journal if you don't have one, or a notebook where you can gather stuff from these classes, stuff that you read other places, stuff that you get online, stuff that you do. Note down all this stuff, and eventually you'll have your own Book of Shadows, Grimoire. There's a lot of names for it, but it'll be something you can go back to and say, oh, that's how you do this, or that's how I did this, and it worked or it didn't work. It's a good idea to do that. And it's also a place you can write down dreams. Not a bad idea to do that. If you don't have a dream book, at least get a dream journal and keep track of your dreams. Okay, so today, perception and attention. And the question is, what's the difference and why are they important? Okay, so perception basically is how you see the world through the different filters, or how you experience the world through different filters that you have, that have been part of your cultural background, your upbringing, the experiences you've lived through, what gender you are, a bunch of things, the jobs that you've held, where you live in the world. So perception is part of that, and it's influenced by those things, and so you will see things differently based on your perception. Even though we all think we have, just like clear perception, it's not true. A simple example: one of the first times I noticed that my perception had been changed by my environment was I bought a car. I bought a Corvair years ago, many, many years ago. And I'd never seen hardly any Corvairs on the road, and all of a sudden I saw lots of Corvairs on the road, and I was like, "Whoa, okay." There's a lot of Corvairs on the road, and I didn't think a lot of it. And then, I don't know, a while later I bought a Volkswagen, and I was like, "Whoa, there's a lot more Volkswagens," and it started hitting me. Oh, you're noticing them more because you have one, and now it's part of your attention. And so your attention goes, and then you perceive that there are more things than you noticed before. So attention and perception are intertwined. Attention is where you subconsciously or consciously focus your perception, basically. What you look at, how you look at it differently is perception. What you look at and what you look for is attention, and where you put your attention. A lot of it's done subconsciously, so we don't realize it. It sort of slides by, but it's still being done. And if you can do it more consciously, then it really changes things a lot. One of the places that you can notice that drastically is in dreams. If you get into lucid dreaming and you start putting your attention certain places in the dreams, and things change quite a bit. And once you perceive that it's a dream, then you can move your attention around. In real life, when you perceive that it's a dream, it's not because when you bump your leg it hurts, or if you cut yourself you bleed, that kind of thing. So it's not really a dream in the same sense as when we go to sleep and we have a dream. But it's a dream in the sense, definitely, that it's not real the way we all think it's real. And that's part of, you'll learn by starting to focus your attention differently, starting to pay more attention to your perception of things. Okay, so that's kind of why they're important, because they do inform your world, and how you see reality, or what you perceive as reality, can be changed by where you put your attention, how you use your attention. And once you can do that, start to maneuver that on the conscious level in day-to-day living, then things are much more malleable, and you can be open to a lot more things that you want to happen in your life. So let's go on from that to, for instance, what kind of filters do you use to experience the world? Okay, we all have filters to experience the world. It's your background, as I said before. It's your life experiences. It's your genetics. It's everything that's ever you have had or experienced in your life. It informs who you are and how you see the world, how you experience the world. So touch, taste, smell, hearing, sight, even intuition. Intuition is one that you can get the most fine-tuning with by using your attention more wisely and fine-tuning your perception. So, for instance, when you are experiencing the world, I like to use sight because I'm a very visual person. So when you're seeing the world, do you use, in terms of perception, do you use gender, social group, do you use age to sort things out in terms of people? Or just let's stay with people. Or do you look out there and say, oh, that person could be a friend or an ally, or that person or an asset, or this person could be a threat or kind of a nuisance, or neutral. They don't have an effect on me. I don't feel anything one way or the other towards them. Sometimes that's a good thing to use that, but if you're using it subconsciously and not really being conscious of how you're using those filters, then you're going to miss a lot of things. You're going to miss a lot of the magic in the world because you're basically saying, oh, look over there, there's a hand, and that's all you see is a hand. Well, there's a person attached to the hand. What about the person? You just saw the hand. No, there's a person behind the hand. So if you don't take into account that there's more than just what you see, the hand, then you're missing 90% of what's available to you. Okay, so one of the things I would like you to do is note some examples, to write down some examples of what sparked you to pick which filters with people. So it's got to be somebody new. You're walking down the street, you're on the bus, you're on a train, you're in your car, I don't know, and you see somebody new. You have an initial reaction to them. It's like, or ugh, or hey. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, later on when you're safe, don't do it while you're driving, but note down what the reaction was and what sparked you to choose that reaction. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong to this, or good or bad. It's just you need to understand how you are interacting with the world and how you're not interacting with it because of your filters. Your filters do help you, but to narrow things down, but they also prevent you from seeing an awful lot of what's there. And that's one of the things we're trying to get past. As a magician, as a cast magician especially, you want to see what's really there so that you can then interact with what's really there. Because otherwise you're just interacting with yourself in the mirror and you're going to get the same thing every time that you've gotten before because you're doing the same thing, because you're thinking it's the same thing when it's not, when every day is different. It doesn't matter if it's the same place, same situation, same person, every moment is different. And there's an opportunity in every moment to change things. A lot of the change comes from you. Doesn't mean that you're right or you're wrong, doesn't mean you win or you lose. It just means that you have to perceive differently. And that's part of where you're putting your attention. So do you see a person? Or do you see a threat? Or do you see somebody you're attracted to for some reason? Or, that's not it. You're missing that. That doesn't even allow your intuition to step into place. Your intuition, first of all, needs to see the whole person. And if it sees the whole person, then it can go, oh, this part about that person connects with me in some way. And then you can, why? Why does it connect that way? What's sparking that connection? And whether it's pulls you toward it or pushes you away from it or whatever, that's where it'll help. I would suggest in terms of perception that you watch Matrix 1 and 2. I think they're both excellent for that. Because, perceiving the Matrix as being real when it's not, okay, and then finding out it's something else, it changes everything. And, well, I don't think it's going to get that drastic for anybody. It's going to get somewhat interesting. All right. Also, I would recommend reading The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. That's a book that's an awful lot about perception. It's a novel, it's science fiction, but it's still about perception. Okay, so let's go to attention now. So where do you put your attention? And is it on things that interest you, things that repel you, or again, things that are neutral? And when you do that, it's a good idea to say, well, why am I doing that? Why? What's sparking me? Is it a smell? Is it a sound? Is it something about the person that I'm seeing? And you can also use it for other things. It doesn't have to be a person, but usually people are the ones that we encounter the most and we deal with the most in this way. So I would focus on people or animals or any recurring thing that happens that isn't necessarily has to happen. Like, if you go to a stop sign, you're going to stop, people are going to stop. If the light turns green, it's eventually going to turn yellow, then it's going to turn red. So that's not a big deal, okay? I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about things that recur that don't seem to need to recur. So, for instance, you go outside of your home, and not that it's raining every day, because some places it rains for like a month. Portland, Seattle. But you go outside and there is a bird. And the bird is outside someplace and it's making a lot of noise. And that happens like 3 days in a row. And normally there aren't birds. Okay? That's kind of weird. Or, I don't know, you see an animal you've never seen before. Whether it's a dog or whatever, and it's like 3-4 days in a row at the same place on your way to work. What the heck is that about? It could be wind in the trees. It doesn't matter. Just pay attention to things around you and notice what in the natural world is repetitive, or even in the human world. It's not like you go to Starbucks and it's $5.49 for your latte every time, because that's what it's supposed to be. But it's more like, I don't want to say, if you go to Starbucks and 3 different people that wouldn't be it's the same design in your latte, but they do that anyhow. That's a bad example, I'm sorry. So let's just say you go someplace and the same thing happens, but it's not prescribed by the environment or the experience. So for instance, the Starbucks with the latte with the design on it, it's probably going to be the same design because it's something probably Starbucks wants them to do. On the other hand, if it's not a Starbucks, if it's like a neighborhood coffee shop, that would be different. Okay, so just look for recurring things in terms of your attention, and then look for how you respond, or where you put your attention when you meet new people. Okay, so for perception, for attention, I would say watch Now You See Me. Because if you pay attention to that film very closely, it's a different film than if you just sit there and let it roll over you. And I found that really interesting when I watched it. I have a very simple assignment. I'd like you to wear a different color every day for 5 days. Okay? It can be a ring, a piece of jewelry, it can be a scarf, it can be something you even carry in your pocket that nobody else sees. But if you make sure you have a different color every day on your person, and then all you want you to do that day is look and see how often you see that color. So for instance, if I wear a blue shirt, how many times do I see blue shirts that day, or blue dresses, or blue whatever? Is it a lot more than it usually is? Does it feel like it's a lot more than it usually is? Okay, because then it's, again, your attention is looking for blue, and your perception is allowing you to see more blue. So that's what happens to me. But just check it out for yourself and see what happens. And again, if you've got the clothing to wear, that's the best, because it'll be in your face all the time, reminding you. If you've got some jewelry that'll do it, that you can wear where you can see it, like on your hand, or if it's just a stone you carry in your pocket, or a colored pencil you carry with you, a crayon, I don't care. Just so it's there in your subconscious. Oh, look for red, look for green, look for blue each day. And it needs to remind you so that you keep remembering to look. And then notice how often you see that color that day, how much more you see it than normal, or not. It may not work for you. That's what all these things, they'll work differently for everybody. Most people are going to fall into where they work. Some people they're not going to work for. But that's part of what magic is. It's always generated by you and the universe in tandem. And your job is attention and perception. Attention is putting your will behind perceiving, directing your will, and perception is being open to receiving what's out there, what's in front of you, what's around you, what's inside of you. So that's pretty simple for right now. This is only 15 minutes. I hope it's been useful. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something. I will see you next week. Have a good week. Have a great week. Bye-bye.